1 2 3 1 2.
board chairperson for Malawi Makra, Mrs. Bridget Chibwana, ITU area representative for Southern Africa, Ms. Halima Latamo, the ITU expert, Juan Ronet, UN resident representative, Ms. Rebecca Adadonto, the Director for Legal Services and representative from the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and Chair of Sadc, Ms. Loveness Ngwanga, the Senior Program Officer and ICT representative from Sadc Secretariat, Dr. George Atu, Director for Telecommunications for MACRA, Edward Kauka, who was also representing the Director General for MACRA, MACRA Management, and all staff here present, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I didn't hear the good morning, but good morning. I see we have a very good representation from Sadc and abroad, a number of countries that I see. Welcome to the warm heart of Africa, which is Malawi, also hosting the opening ceremony of the Sadc Model National Emergency Telecommunications and implementation of the EW4ALL awareness workshop today. I will not go further into the details of the workshop because I am sure and reliably informed that those that are tasked to give us the welcoming remarks will do a very wonderful job. But let me bring to your attention a very few things that are really important for the workshop. We have free Wi-Fi. I'm sure a number of us would want to use internet. The Wi-Fi name is Yatu Data. If you could search that. Yatu Data, that's our Wi-Fi name. When you get there, you click where it says free Wi-Fi. After that, you connect. It has no password. You should be able to be logged in as soon as you connect. So Yatu Data, that's our Wi-Fi name. And then you click where it says free Wi-Fi. And once you do that, you click on connect and it should be connected after that. Once again, welcome to the workshop on Sadc Model National Emergency Telecommunications Plan, Netp, and the implementation of early warning for all awareness and the Malawi National Stakeholders Consultation Meeting. My name is Chikondi Manga Kasambara. I am your Director of Ceremonies as well as the moderator for the event. Without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to call upon Mr. Edward Kauka, who is the Director of Telecommunications for Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA, to give us the welcoming remarks on behalf of the Director General for MACRA.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies. Mulibwanji. Thank you very much and welcome. Malawi Board Chairperson, Madam Bridget Chibwana, ITU Area Representative for Southern Africa, Madam Halima Latino, ITU Expert Juan Ronald, I think he's present here. A UN representative, UN area representative, Madam Rebecca Donto, Director of Legal Services and representative from the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chair of Sadc, Madam Loveness Ngwanga, Senior Program Officer and ICT representative from Sadc, Dr. George Atu, MACRA Management, and fellow staff, member of MACRA here present. Focal points of the National Emergency Telecommunication Working Group of Malawi, esteemed members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, and once again, welcome to Malawi, takulandirani. I do not have much to say apart from welcoming you to this important meeting on behalf of the Director General of MACRA, who is not here present. I therefore call upon each and every member state of Sadc to contribute to the meeting that we are going to have in the 3 days beginning from now. I therefore also ask our focal points in Malawi to be attentive so that we can get the knowledge that we are going to get from this meeting and put into action to implement our national emergency telecommunication plan. You may recall that in the past few years, Malawi has encountered a lot of challenges because of these cyclones. We've lost lives in Malawi because of lack of coordination. We are therefore gathered here to learn from our colleagues from the Sadc region the means and ways in which they coordinate to prevent loss of lives. Malawi and several other countries in Southern Africa are projected to be affected by cyclone in the next 10 years. So if we sit down and do nothing, then we are doing ourselves a favor. With these few remarks, let me call upon everybody to participate in this workshop. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much. That was the Director of Telecommunications from the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, MACRA, and we really expect to learn a lot from the different countries that are here on how they respond to different calamities that befall in their countries. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to call upon Dr. George Atu, who's the Senior Program Officer and IC representative from the Sadc Secretariat, to give us his first remarks. Dr. George Atu.
Thank you for the kind introduction, our Director of Ceremony. I would like to stand on the protocol that you've already established, but nevertheless, I wish to recognize Mrs. Bridget Chibwanga, the board chair of MACRA, our gracious host, and esteemed guest of honor of this workshop. I'd like to recognize DG Suleiman of MACRA, represented by Director Edward Kauka, the Director of Telecommunications. We have some of our ICT implementing agencies online. I'd like to recognize Mrs. Bridget Lindsay, the Executive Secretary of CRASA, Mr. Jacob Wafa, the Executive Secretary of SATA, delegations from SADC member states, colleagues from SADC Secretariat, my colleague Mr. Lungu, and Samuel from SHOC, from SADC Disaster Risk Reduction Unit. Partners such as ITU, UN bodies, UNRCO, UNDRR, and other partners such as the World Food Program, ETC, and GSMA, who have been with us since 2022 on this journey, World Meteorology Organization, and GGPN, represented by Silva from Angola. ITU consultants, Mr. Johan Roldan and Elliot Christian. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. Bonjour, bon dia. On behalf of the SADC Executive Management, in particular Ms. Mapolao Mokoena, the Director of Infrastructure, I have the absolute pleasure and privilege to extend a warm welcome to you all to the ITU SADC Model NETP Implementation and Early Warning for All Awareness Workshop, being convened with the unwavering support from ITUD, hosted by the Republic of Malawi. The SADC Director of Infrastructure is very grateful for all delegates having taken time out of your busy schedules to participate in this important workshop, which we plan to make it an annual regional forum for all emergency telecom stakeholders. Your participation highlights our collective commitment to addressing the critical issue of emergency telecoms and early warning systems. On behalf of the Sadc Secretariat and all delegates of this meeting, and through you, Madam Board Chair of MACRA, I would like to express my sincere and heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to the government and people of the Republic of Malawi, the warm heart of Africa, like the MC has just mentioned, for having generously agreed to host this auspicious workshop. The Sadc Secretariat is also very grateful for the excellent arrangements and warm hospitality extended to all delegates since their arrival here in Lilongwe. Congratulations to the successful convening of Malawi's National Multi-Stakeholder Consultation Workshop yesterday, which demonstrates the leadership commitment to the citizens concerning NETP. Thank you so much to Ms. Loveness Mngwanga, the representative of Zimbabwe, the new chairperson of Sadc, for taking on the role of chairperson of this workshop, the very first Sadc ICT event convened under the Zimbabwe chairmanship. To colleagues from Mozambique who are online, I wish your country a happy and peaceful presidential and legislative elections today. Guests of honor, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to congratulate Ms. Halima Etamo for securing the post of ITU Area Representative of Southern Africa. The Sadc Secretariat appreciates the diligence and proactiveness of your work, and we look forward to many more ITU Sadc initiatives that will bring about significant impact on the lives and livelihood of Sadc citizens. This workshop, I hope, is the first of many to come. I wish to thank the ITUD for the unconditional support and also thank the ITU consultants, Mr. Johan Rolden, for the development of the Sadc NETP. On behalf of all participants, especially sponsored delegates, I seize this opportunity to thank ITU and its partners for supporting the Sadc region in our endeavor of implementing the Sadc model NETP and raising awareness on early warning for all. A big thank you also goes to WFP, ETC, GSMA, WMO for supporting Sadc on this journey. Guests of honor, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the Sadc model NETP is a prioritized project in the RISDP 2020-2030, which aims to effect critical, meaningful, high impact in the Sadc region. The Sadc model NETP is your regional guiding strategic instrument to enable member states strengthen and enhance their emergency communications capabilities and preparedness. It will assist you to easily develop your NETP. It aims to identify and strengthen effective mechanisms to enable you to ensure continued operations of telecom services and facilitate rapid information flow across all levels of governments within the communities at risk and between public and private organizations during the 4 phases of disaster management cycle, namely mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. It guides the action of the ICT sector to provide effective support and improve coordination between the different agents involved in disaster risk management. It also establishes the governance framework of roles and responsibilities, which you will learn more about this week. It must be an integral part of the National Plan on Disaster Management and find a place in your digital transformation strategy resilience. Domestication of the Sadc model NETP is imperative, and I cannot stress how important this is for the Sadc region. Tracking each member state's progress, especially the more disaster-prone member states, starts this week. Guests of honor, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to take a minute or two to highlight a few critical areas of our NETP. As we are all aware, the Sadc region is prone to various climate-induced hazards, including cyclones, floods, droughts, wildfires, and landslides. These hazards pose significant risk to well-being of our people, infrastructure, agriculture, the economy, and our overall regional integration development agenda of Sadc. When disaster strikes, often telecom systems get disrupted and communications may be unavailable during emergency. This impacts on public safety and security, disrupts response services, and may have disastrous economic consequences. Reliable communications are indispensable to the management of any emergency. It is a critical national infrastructure and therefore requires priority restoration. In addition, most responders are unable to communicate with others because they operate on private mobile radio systems limited to their internal use. Pillar 3 of the Early Warning for All initiative focuses on warning, dissemination, and communication, which is led by ITU and its supporting partners. Common Alerting Protocol, CAP, is the ITU international standard format for early warning systems. It is designed for all hazards, all media, and all communications. Early warning system is the most basic tool to save lives and protect livelihoods ahead of a disaster. Any conversation about EWS needs to involve the ICT sector for the obvious reasons, as it is the linkage to the delivery of content using CAP via mobile, fixed line, internet, broadcast TV and radio, cable TV, emergency radio, amateur radio, satellite direct to home, and etc. People should not miss out on alerts, which is traditionally done on TV and radio. As of last year, 91% of Sadc population were using a mobile phone, and 54% were online. We need to maximize this opportunity to reach everyone more quickly and effectively before, during, and after disasters. Plus, people should only get alerts intended for them. You will receive adequate training on CAP and Early Warning for All initiative and relevant software and platforms. I urge you to complement this hands-on training with courses from the ITU Academy, World Food Program, and UNDRR to further your knowledge and train colleagues at home. We will share with you as much as we can. Guests of honor, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, today's workshop is a culmination of several months of planning and consultations. I wish to commend the Ministry of Information and Digitalization of Malawi and the MACRA coordinating team led by Director Edward Kauka for organizing the logistics of this event, making us feel at home. To ITU and its partners, a big thank you for bringing us all together today. As your Secretariat, I look forward to your active participation, productive discussions and contributions during the next 3 days that will culminate to a stronger, more inclusive, forward-thinking, and implementation of the Sadc model NETP. The Sadc Secretariat renews its commitment to supporting member states on emergency telecom matters, including the last mile to reach everyone in the implementation of Early Warning for All. So, together, let's prepare Sadc in terms of emergency telecoms before the next disaster, as one life lost is too many. Now, finally, I call upon ITU and our partners here today and member states to reflect upon celebrating an emergency telecoms month to support the implementation of Sadc model NETP and Early Warning for All initiative, just like you do during the month of October when you celebrate cybersecurity. This is food for thought. Merci beaucoup. Muito obrigado. Thank you so much for your kind attention. I know I've been long. I think I've set the tone for this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atu, who's the Senior Program Officer and ICT representative from the Sadc Secretariat. Another round of applause for Dr. Atu. Most importantly, thank you for the reaffirmation that Sadc is behind everything, and as far as ITU is concerned, ICT rather is concerned, so that no life at all is lost. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, allow me to call upon Ms. Halima Letamo, ITU Area Representative for Southern Africa, International Telecommunications Union, ITU. Ms. Halima Letamo, sorry.
Thank you very much, Director of Ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stand on the protocol already observed this morning, but let me note the presence of the Director or the Board Chair of Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority, Mrs. Bridget Chibwana. Let me also recognize the presence of the UN resident representative, Ms. Rebecca Ada Donto, the Director of Legal Services and representative from the Ministry of ICT, Postal and Courier Services of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and today representing Chair of Sadc, Ms. Loveness Ngwanga. Let me also acknowledge the presence of the Senior Program Officer and ICT representative from Sadc Secretariat, Dr. George Arthur. Let me, colleagues, also note the presence in the room of an ITU expert, Senior Juan Roldan, the MACRA Director of Telecommunications, Mr. Edward Kauka. Let me also note the MACRA management and staff here in the room. Your presence is acknowledged. Representatives of the Sadc member states are here present. Members of the UN family in the room. Colleagues that are connecting online. I do note that we also have focal points of the National Emergency Telecommunications Working Group in the room. We note your presence. And partner organizations that are represented here today. Members of the press, and ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. Allow me, Madam Chair, to begin my remarks by acknowledging the government of Malawi's continued commitment to improving the lives of the people of Malawi through digital technologies. The government's drive for digital transformation is not only notable in Malawi, but also at regional level, as demonstrated by the gathering that we have here today of Sadc member states, and also evidenced at global level by Malawi championing of several ITU initiative programs, such as the Digital Infrastructure and Innovation, as well as Child Online Protection, to name a few. Let me also express gratitude to you, Madam Chair, and the Board of Directors of MACRA, as well as the Director General of Malawi Telecommunications Regulatory Authority in absentia, particularly of your team's efforts in hosting this particular event. This workshop, as you can see, Madam Chair, brings together people from the whole of the Sadc region, and for Malawi to raise up their hand and take up the baton to host it is highly commendable and appreciated to us at the ITU. We note the exemplary team that you have put in place to coordinate the logistics of this particular workshop. They have brought together stakeholders here today. This is not anything of our doing, but the work of your team, Madam Chair. And we also acknowledge the excellent facilities that they have been able to provide to us. These facilities is not just what we are seeing in the room here today. We know a lot of back-end work went into organizing this particular event. They have availed for us interpretation services and are connecting people across the world. These are key stakeholders that we needed to have online who could not participate physically in this meeting today. We commend you, the MACRA team, for availing this for us. The ITU recognizes the work of the Sadc Secretariat led by Dr. George Arthur for driving the NETP program in the Sadc region. Sir, we acknowledge the good work that you and your team are continuing to do in this space. This process started in 2021 when the Sadc ICT ministers directed the Sadc Secretariat to develop a Sadc model national emergency telecommunications plan. This plan is meant to become the guiding strategic instrument for the region and to enable member states to strengthen and enhance their emergency telecommunications capabilities and preparedness. The ITU worked with Sadc Secretariat to develop this model NETP, which was validated in November 2023. Several of you here in the room were a part of this process, which included a series of awareness sessions. One of the key recommendations from this report was for Sadc member states to assess, develop, and/or enhance existing emergency alert and early warning systems, including surveillance and monitoring systems for probable threats prior to the occurrence of disasters. This is very, very critical for our regions, ladies and gentlemen. Sadc member states were also recommended to implement the common alerting protocol and particularly to leverage on high mobile phone penetration in the Sadc member states. We do acknowledge that there are areas that are still not connected, but we do have mobile coverage that can be leveraged on. And member states were also encouraged to consider implementing mobile early warning systems based on cell broadcasting or location-based SMSs. We believe these are some of the discussions that we will continue to pursue in this workshop today and tomorrow and on Friday. These particular recommendations are aligned to the United Nations Early Warning for All initiative, which stipulates that every person in the world should be protected by an early warning system by 2027. This looks very close, ladies and gentlemen. What it basically means is that our work is cut out for us. The time is short, but the lives that we have to save are much more precious. So we just have to roll up our sleeves and get the job done. ITU, as Dr. George Atheu has just mentioned, leads Pillar 3 of the Early Warning for All, which is focusing on warning, dissemination, and communication. This is a critical component in the value chain of EWS that ensures that alerts reach people at risk in time for them to be able to act. I am happy today, ladies and gentlemen, to note the presence of the UN family present here today, led by our UN resident coordinator for Malawi. We know, Ms. Rebecca Adadoto, that you are traveling on mission today, and we appreciate you making time to join us, even if it's just for a short period of time. We also acknowledge the Early Warning for All pillar leads, UNDRR, WMO, and IFCR. We know the pillar that we are leading as ITU is just a part of, or a piece of the puzzle, to use that expression. ITU is committed to work with our member states to ensure that everyone is protected by an early warning system and that ICT services are reliable and available whenever they are needed. We aim to strengthen the capacity of Sadc member states and emergency telecommunications planning and provide a platform for dialogue, networking, and sharing of best practices on NETP and EWS. It is important for us at the ITU, ladies and gentlemen, that we harness the power of digital technologies in the mitigation or rather prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery. This is a cycle, and the leveraging of ICTs in these 4 areas is quite important for us at ITU and critical for the citizenry that we serve. We note, ladies and gentlemen, the environmental consequences that we continue to witness across the globe, and particularly in the Sadc region. Hence, the ITU's efforts to continue providing a platform for dialogue in this area. Our efforts to support disaster response and recovery in the ITU, we have pre-positioned ET equipment to Harare, Zimbabwe, to make it more accessible to countries in the Southern Africa region. And we will be sharing with you a little bit more on this equipment and how to access it in the next couple of sessions. This event this week is just to provide us a platform, not just for us, but for those of us who are, or those colleagues that are also able to join us, to assess our readiness in operationalizing and implementing the Sadc model NETP and the status and effectiveness of our early warning systems. So hopefully at the end of the workshop, we will be in a position to know where we stand as the Southern Africa region. Let me, Madam Chair, end my remarks by reiterating ITU's commitment to support the implementation of the NETP and early warning system and thank the government of Malawi again and the Sadc Secretariat for partnering with the ITU in this very critical journey. Let me, ladies and gentlemen, wish you all a productive deliberations in the next 3 days, and I do look forward to concrete recommendations that will emanate from this meeting. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Obrigado.
Donto, our United Nations resident coordinator for Malawi. I'm not sure why you still don't have a Malawian citizenship, because you represent us really well. You've engaged in so many meetings, and you really represent UN as well as the Malawi national flag really well. Give Ms. Rebecca Adadonto a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Chikondi. Madam Bridget Chibwana, Chair of MACRA, please permit me to stand on the existing protocols by simply saying, dear partners, dear friends, and dear colleagues. This conversation, this gathering this morning is timely and highly relevant. So let me start by saying a big thank you to the government of Malawi and all SADC member states, also to the Ministry of Information and MACRA, and all our partners, including my UN colleagues, for us one of the most critical challenges in the SADC region, and that is climate change and its devastating impact on livelihoods. As an African proverb says, and I quote, if the hunter learns how to shoot without missing, the bird must learn how to fly without perching. There is evidence and also consensus that Malawi is extremely vulnerable to climate-induced emergencies. So we must be smart and innovative about anticipatory action, about response, about building resilience, and all that enables us to do all of these things. I had the humbling privilege of being in Blantyre immediately after Tropical Cyclone Freddy in March last year. I saw firsthand the devastating impact of the cyclone on people, on infrastructure, on all of the things that we hold dear, including on our mental health. Over 500,000 people were displaced. Over 500 people died, and another 500 people still missing as we speak. Just imagine the impact of this on the mental health of affected families and the communities. Behind each of these shocking figures is a story of a person, a family, a home washed away. Storms and cyclones like Freddy have become more severe because of the climate crisis. A warming planet is making life harder for those on the front lines of climate change and making cyclone seasons deadlier. Many times, these floods hit in the night when people are asleep, making escape difficult and frightening. Moreover, these floods affect women and girls most, who face an increased risk of gender-based violence and lose access to safe spaces and privacy. I saw it myself. With climate change leading to more extreme weather and climate conditions, the need for effective multi-hazard early warning systems is more crucial than ever. Systems that warn people of impending storms, floods or droughts, and support action are not a luxury, but cost-effective tools that save lives and reduce economic losses. The Early Warning for All initiative, called for by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres in 2022, aims to ensure universal protection from hazardous, now wait, it's a series of very long words, so be patient with me to pronounce them carefully. To ensure universal protection from hazardous hydrometeorological, climatological, and related environmental events through life-saving multi-hazard early warning systems, anticipatory action, and resilient efforts by the end of 2027. The initiative brings together the broader UN system, governments, and I think looking around this room, we have all of these various sectors represented: government, civil society, development partners across public and private sectors, to enhance collaboration and accelerated actions to address gaps and deliver people-centered end-to-end multi-hazard early warning.